Last but not least, ladies and gentlemen, is something that I'm very excited to go through because I've got a lot of learning to do on this subject.
Let's go.
uSports.
Let's go.
Finally, I've been waiting to watch like a legitimate uSports championship tournament literally since 2019 because that was the last time it was played. So 2020 obviously canceled mid-season. 2021 there was no season, and now after the conference or provincial tournaments have wrapped up this past weekend in men's uSports,
Conference.
it is conference.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. I mean, there's only one. Only the OUA is within strictly to
One
one
province.
province. The RCQ is multiple because it's Quebec and the Maritimes.
Okay.
Obviously, the Canada West. You've got BC, Alberta, Saskatchewan, Manitoba. For any
Yep.
of our international fans who are watching, but I mean, hey, if anyone knows me, this is my bread and butter. I'm
Yes.
very sad. I'm very sad that I won't be heading out this year. Won't be be able to afford it. I mean, if any kind sponsors want to fork up some airfare and accommodations for me to head out, that would be fantastic. But unfortunately, I won't be there, so I'll be able to watch it from afar. First of all, for all our Canadian fans, you can check it out at cbcsports.ca, where you watch all of our other games. International fans, if you've ever heard of a VPN, I heard that could be very useful since the games are going to be free. They're just going to be straight up free on CBC Sports. So if you act like you're from Canada, you're going to be able to watch. And
There you go.
the more the merrier. But yeah, let's break this down.
All right.
This past weekend's conference tournaments went like this. We're going to start on the East Coast with the RSEQ, and one of the biggest upsets, one of the biggest results we've seen in a long time. The Sherbrooke Vert et Or, that is the green and gold for our non-French speaking friends, are headed to nationals after taking the RSEQ for the first time since 1997. Right? It hasn't happened since the 1900s that Sherbrooke has won the RSEQ. So I watched it. They played it at home against a very, very good Montreal team. And you know what? I thought Montreal was going to be going, it's for years and years it was Laval. Then it was Montreal's a little bit. And I think right now the RSEQ is just blasted wide open. I think you got 5 quality teams over there, and very excited for that Sherbrooke program and the Sherbrooke boys over there to get that berth. If you move one province over from the RSEQ to the OUA and Ontario, sitting at number 2, the McMaster Marauders are once again at the top of the OUA.
Undefeated. Only undefeated team in the field.
Only undefeated team in the field. They took 2 years off, having lost to Queens back in 2020 because we did have a conference tournament. We just didn't have a national tournament back then. They lost to Queens in 2020, came third that year. Lost to Queens in 2019, came second that year. But other than that, they were on like an 8-9. I think it was an 8 or 9 year win streak. But the McMaster Marauders are headed back to the nationals and leading Ontario. It's going to be good. Now, headed over to the Canada West, we had the Trinity Western Spartans take down.
No surprise.
And let's be honest, like if you were watching it, we had a few in the Discord who were watching it, and they just absolutely dominated all the way through. So here's what the bracket is looking like. In that number 1 spot, we have Trinity Western. They're going to be taking on the host Manitoba Bisons. I think Manitoba had a decent season this year. They were in the toughest conference because within the Canada West, they split the conferences up into 3 because of COVID to limit travel. So they were in the toughest conference in the Plains with the Manitoba and Saskatchewan teams. They have no chance against Trinity Western. No offense to Manitoba. I like your guys' team. No chance.
None.
Looking on that same side of the bracket, the OUA finalists, and I mean, hey, this is a team that had set point in the 4th. They were looking to push it to a 5th. I think this Toronto team is really, really talented. They got Zane Grossinger, who came in from Queens last year. They got Mitchell Newart, who came in from Queens as well. They've got a few other guys. Ivan Falardo, he's a stud on that Toronto team. They're going to be going up against the RSEQ champions. I think this matchup is going to be one of the best matchups we have in the first round. I think it did that upper half of the bracket with McMaster versus Calgary. I think it's going to be interesting, but I still think Mac's going to be able to take that, and Trinity is going to walk all over Manitoba. But this one, I think it's like there's something about Quebec teams. They play hard defense. They're just another level of passionate that English-speaking teams just don't understand. And we've seen OUA teams be upset by them before. So I think that this Toronto versus Sherbrooke matchup is going to be a spicy one. I think the other spicy matchup is going to be between the OUA bronze medalists, the Queens Gales, the two-time defending champions who defeated Brock in the bronze medal match at home over the weekend, against the Canada West runners-up in the Alberta Golden Bears. Now, I think I like this Alberta team quite a bit. They challenged Trinity, and that was without one of their best hitters in Braden Friesen out there. They had Cam Kern, who Brock Davidoff calls his volleyball player, because this is a guy who is technically a setter on the roster, has played libero, and was one of their starting left sides over the weekend. So I think Isaac Heslinga is arguably, maybe not the rookie of the year, because actually, real quick, shout out to Discord member Philip Lauder, who was the official rookie of the year awesome. in the Canada West for Brandon. I actually thought that Brandon was going to have a pretty good shot. They unfortunately lost to Calgary. I mean, fortunately for Calgary, Calgary run, but Brandon fell. So big shout out to Discord member Philip Lauder for winning that. He's a first year coming out of Frankfurt, Germany, had played for the United Volleys, then coming over to uSports. But yeah, Alberta's team is looking dangerous. I'm going to call it right now. I don't think that the East Coast teams are nearly as good as the West Coast teams right now.
Okay.
Because of all of the lockdowns we've had here on the East Coast, these teams have not trained consistently as much as the West Coast teams. They haven't had the consistency of competition as the West Coast teams. So I think that we're going to see, I think it's actually going to affect especially the Ontario and Quebec teams and the Eastern Coast teams a little bit more than we're seeing our West Coast teams. So right now I'm fully expecting to have an Alberta versus Trinity Western final, because both those teams are looking real good.
Oh, so you're going to pick Alberta over Mac in the second round?
Unfortunately, right now, yes. And I mean, hey, this is that pick. This is nothing against McMaster. And I mean, if you're from the Canada West, there might be a few people whose jaws are hitting the floor right now as I'm picking the Canada West over OUA, and that's very unlike me, right? But yeah, just watching how good, like Jordan Canham on the right side, like Rob, you're gonna have to get a VPN. You're gonna have to watch with us.
I'm planning on it.
Like we'll jump on the chat and we'll get but like there's some guys like Billy Johnson in the middle. I think it was a crying shame that he's only second team all Canada West, because that dude is a difference maker in the middle. I do think that McMaster has some really good pieces. Sam Cooper is awesome. Robbie Hasegawa, I mean, I was his first volleyball coach, so I gotta love him.
That's awesome.
Matus Wadlarski, big guy on the right side, is a former Ottawa Maverick, played on the same team as the aforementioned Jordan Canham as well. So there's I have a lot of love for that McMaster team. Everyone knows that me and Dave Preston are boys at Madawaska, even though he won't smile at me during game times. Outside of the season, he and I can have a good time together, but in the season, he doesn't crack a smile. But yeah, I just don't see it. It's going to be a really good game. I think Alberta has the toughest route to the finals for sure to get there. Like they're going to have to beat Queens, and that Queens team is plucky. They don't have the horses that they have in the past couple of years. Of course, Zane Grossinger now plays for Toronto. Zach Hutchison has moved on. Mitchell Newert isn't there, but I really believe in what Gabe DeGroot is building with that Queens program. So, man, I'm just excited. I'm just fully excited about this going on. It's been so long. It's been since 2019. At Laval that we've had a uSports National Championship. This one is also going to be a special one because it's going to be the last time that Ben Joe coaches for Trinity Western.
I wanted to bring that up. Let me stop you by going over a couple of things and asking a couple of questions, because that was quite the stream of consciousness just now.
Sorry about that. I'm a little excited, if you can't tell.
That was incredible. I loved that so much. So thing number one is the quarterfinals are Friday, the semifinals are Saturday, and the finals are Sunday. It's all in Manitoba. It's all just one match series. So that's the format. I think the finals are at like 4 p.m. Central on Sunday. Yeah, I think. And yeah, like Everett said, CBC, and you can VPN to Canada and watch that for free, which I will definitely be doing. Join the Discord, by the way. We'll help you out if you're trying to watch it from somewhere else in the world. My question is, Trinity Western or the field? Because everybody, but everyone's been following along all year. Like Trinity Western has the one loss. I think they played their entire bench and lost a match in 5. And they came down to the States, to California earlier in the year, destroyed all the good teams in the NCAA, went back up north, and have been dominant ever since. They run this really crazy lineup thing where Derek Epps sets and then plays some middle. Like Jesse Elser, Matthias Elser plays outside and then sets for half the rotations, and Brody Hofer plays both pins. And I'm very confused by it. It's a really wacky. It's basically like Benjo and the boys are just showing off how versatile they are, and they can play this weird rotation and still destroy everybody. My question is not, is Trinity Western going to win? Because I think they are. Does a team push them to the point at which they revert to a more traditional offensive lineup set, I guess?
No, because that's the lineup that they've been running with, and they don't have a traditional right side. The only one that they could be going to potentially would be Henry Rempel. Maybe you're going to want to bring in like Izzy Olfert to play on the left side, opposite of Elser. But yeah, they just don't have a traditional right side to fit into that spot. And let me tell you, that has never stopped them in the past. I mean, if you look back to 2016, where Ryan Sclater defeated a monstrous team in Stephen Marr and McMaster at home at McMaster, they had a flu-ridden Scott Ploktis on the right side, who I think got like 3 sets in the semifinal. Right. And they were just giving everything to Sclater and giving everything to Blake Shearhorn as well, who had a little bit of a stint on the national team as well. So that's one of the things that I characterize the most about Ben Josephson teams. And I've been watching them now for literally a decade. The first time I watched them was at Queens in 2012 with that legendary team that was Rudy Verhoof, Stephen Marshall, like the list goes on and on. Van Berkel, Dan Jansen, Van Dorn, the guys who are the national team now. But Ben Josephson is incredibly good at building a system around the team that he actually has. Mm-hmm. And that's exactly what you're seeing with this team right here. I think the fact that Matthias Elser is probably arguably the second best setter in Canada right now. It's between him and Golden Bear setter Max Elgert, in my opinion. And the fact that he's banging the balls on both pins the way he does is absolutely phenomenal.
I love it.
Jackson Haum, Jordan Schnitzer down the middle, like they just play an interesting style of volleyball, and it's pure volleyball. Like the guys that they have everywhere are just volleyball players, like through and through, and it's so classic. So no, I don't think that they revert from this roster at all whatsoever. We might get to see Hank Rempel come in on the right side a little bit for them, but you know what? I wouldn't be surprised that. I think that I think I'm going to pick Toronto to go over Sherbrooke. No offense to Varia, but I think very highly of this Toronto team. And I have a lot of respect for what John Barrett and, that program has been building over the past few years. Toronto was a dumpster fire a few years ago and has really picked things up. They no longer lose in 5 all the time, which is their MO before. So I wouldn't be surprised to see Toronto take a set from Trinity. And ultimately, I think that they might consider that a win, maybe a few months down the road, not right off the bat, of course. But I could definitely see Alberta taking it to Trinity in the finals.
They took a set from him in the Canada West finals, didn't they? That was a pretty tight 1-4 at Trinity Western. So
they did. It was a back and forth. It kind of looked like Alberta was going to force a fifth, but then Trinity just kind of started running with it. But let's see if Braden Friesen is healthy, and you've got Friesen, and Heslinga on the outside, on the left side, and you've got Canham on the right side. I think Max Elgert, as the setter, who's the 5th year, and this is going to be his last tournament, has looked better than ever. I mean, he was ripping aces last weekend. I think he had 4 in the second. Like by the second set, he had 4 aces, which was something crazy. They're going to be able to do some damage, but ultimately, like with this going to be Benjo's last tournament as a Spartan, how they all feel that 2020 championship was ripped away from them by not having it,
which it was,
which it absolutely was.
Got an argument there.
And you've got that team with Lepke and Jake Kern and Pierce Shanko and all those boys that didn't get the chance to play. Like Trinity was everything that they've done this season was building up to this moment now, and that's probably what we're going to see. We're going to see another Trinity championship, and it is going to be one final book and chapter in what was arguably one of the greatest stints of university volleyball in the Canadian volleyball
ever
history,
played
and ever. Up there with the great Alberta teams of the 2000s It's funny because I really want it to come to Alberta and Trinity just because that has been the showdown for so many years. And ultimately, like I remember hearing Ben Josephson talk back in 2012, or maybe it was even 2011. He was talking about, he goes, we built our system to beat Alberta. Alberta is the best team in the country. They have been the best team in the country. They continue to be the best team in the country. So we built our system to beat Alberta. And so I think it would just be so poetic that this is the way it finishes before Benjo passes off the torch to Schreimer and to Ben Ball.
I'm so excited to watch this. American fans, by the way, if you don't believe me when I say that Trinity Western is way better than every team in the NCAA right now, you without question, you'd better watch this tournament and you will see. It's crazy. Their play style, like we were just talking about, with it's literally positionless volleyball. They have a guy that sets for like 4 rotations and then plays middle. Like, and then a guy who sets and plays outside. Like, get real. Nobody does that. Nobody can get away with doing that and being championship caliber. But this team can, and it's electric. And they are so much better than every team in the NCAA, which I believe the NCAA is having kind of a down year this year. It's not even close, and I'm really excited to watch this. I wish that we could get like a true like in form, like in season Canada champion versus USA champion matchup.
Man, what I would give.
That would be pretty gnarly. That there would be lots of bragging rights on the line for that. I don't think we're going to see it, but
it would be impossible, right? Because the NCAA doesn't. NCAA men's ends in like May. Like our school year is already done. Like, guys are moving on and stuff like that. But man, could you not imagine just like even like a 1-game, maybe a 2-game series, kind of like a Champions League. A Champions League, like home and home between like the 2 top teams, like that would be something.
I would love it.
Else.
Play it in Vancouver, or play it in Seattle, or somewhere kind of close, and I would love it.
I would just do like a straight up home and home, right? If it's Long Beach and Trinity, you do 1 Langley events, 1 at the Pyramid. Just do a straight up. You have a potential.
Gym gets to choose the volleyball too, so you get like 1 Mikasa,
1 of the Molten, and 1 of the
would be wild.
Oh my god, that would be nuts. That would be nuts. And you probably like it would have to go to a golden set as well, probably.
That'd be
like,
so cool.
That would be a lot of fun, but unfortunately, it's undoable. I mean, I think it would be most fun for Canadians because men's volleyball is the only game that we play at par with at the NCAA level.
Absolutely.
Right? In any other sport, like if you look down, like men's hockey, obviously, like it's men's hockey is as great as it is in Canada. It's all of like the washed up junior players.
If you're a junior, a great junior player in Canada will either go to the league or they'll go to the NCAA to play hockey, right?
Yeah, exactly. They either go to junior, like play in the CHL, and from there you can either go to, go play pro, or you're going to kind of go. They pay for your education, so a lot of them just end up going to play into uSports, or you're either going junior or you're going to NCAA, and those are your main 2 paths. So even like basketball, all of our best guys go to the NCAA. Soccer,
sure.
Women's volleyball, track and field, swimming, like you name it. Men's volleyball is the only one that we can go at par, so it would be great for us, but unfortunately, it's just not going to happen. Also, Philip, big shout out once again for winning Canada West Rookie of the Year. He's probably going to win uSports Rookie of the Year as well at the awards banquet on Wednesday or Thursday. So big shout out to him. He's on the chat board right now.
Yeah, I see him. Yeah, Phil, congrats again, dude. It's cool having you in the Discord. So speaking of the Discord, jump in there. Links in the description. Make sure you know where to watch all the matches that are going on. So we'll definitely be popping off this weekend about uSports, and then about Champions League next week, and Italian playoffs getting underway. So there's no better time to get in with a group chat of people from literally all over the world who are just talking about volleyball 24/7. So join that chat, and if you want to get engaged with it even more, hit up BetUS and use the code VOLLEY125.
Awesome. Daniel Manili just jumped in to the chat and said Canada and then retracted it. So we'll have to message him later on the Discord to see what he's talking about.
I wonder if Dan's had some beers this evening. Sure hope so.